Not trusting to the fading drum brakes, Charlotte doubled the clutch and slammed the Land Rover into first gear as the track plunged into the last corner. Miraculously, the handbrake held above the final gate, but only until she was halfway through opening it, at which point the old truck decided to make its own way through to the other side. Charlotte scurried out of its path and closed the gate behind it. Luckily, the paddock on the other side was flat enough that she barely had to jog to catch up with the Land Rover again. Tinks, her heading dog, jumped down from the flat deck to help, circling the truck and making sure Charlotte gained the cab before leaping back on board. Charlotte found second gear, pulled the door to, and returned to the track where, for the first time that morning, she could finally coax the Land Rover up into third. Through the filthy windscreen, she could see the homestead a kilometre or so up ahead, and away to the side, the small figure of her mother hanging out washing. Charlotte swore under her breath and hoped Andrea, who didn't approve of people so much as taking their hands off the steering wheel, hadn't seen her chasing the truck down. Turning into the home paddock, she left the Land Rover ticking hotly in the big bay shed, where it joined an evolutionary lineup of dirty farm vehicles in varying states of distress. She put Tinks away and made her way across the gravel towards the homestead. Caddy, her mother's fat chocolate Labrador, waddled around from the veranda to sniff appreciatively at her gumboots. As she shed her boots and bush shirt in the back porch and washed her hands in the laundry, the smell of roast mutton drifted under the kitchen door, making it seem a very long time since breakfast. Charlotte opened the door to be enveloped in warmth. Andrea's trophy wood-burning stove was doing such a good job they'd had to open the windows. At the old wooden table, her father and Nick were already eating, while her mother bustled at the bench, scraping the last of the gravy out of the roasting pan into the jug. "There you are," Andrea snapped. "I was getting worried." One of the stud ewes was in a bit of trouble. Her father's head rose abruptly. "You get it sorted out?" Right, thought Charlotte. Now he cared. "Yeah," she said. "It was breached. Just a single. They're fine." "Radio your mother next time you're running late." Her father's voice carried little reproach, but still Charlotte felt needled. He would have bollocked Nick, but he couldn't even be bothered to tell her off. That's how much it mattered what she did. Andrea put the gravy jug on the table and sat down with a heavy sigh. "What was that about up at the gate?" she asked Charlotte, handing down the potatoes. "Has the handbrake gone on the Land Rover again?" Crap. So her mother had seen. "Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just slipped," said Charlotte, eyes on the serving spoon. "It's okay. It didn't matter." "John, you've got to do something about that thing. It's a death trap. I've told you, I don't want the kids driving around in it anymore." Charlotte looked across the table at Nick. They both rolled their eyes. "It's fine, Mum, really." "It's not fine," Andrea persisted. "What if you'd slipped and it had run you over?" "Leave it alone, Andy," ordered John Black. "She isn't stupid." He pushed his empty plate away and leaned back, stretching out his long legs under the table. "You changed the oil on that quad bike yesterday?" he asked Nick. Charlotte watched her brother's eyes narrow. Uh-oh. "Didn't get time," he said with an admirable effort at nonchalance, given that he had to know what was coming. "Time?" their father spat. "You want to talk to me about time? You had time to sit on your bum at that computer all afternoon, didn't you? Time to twitter away to your flash uni mates about how boring we are down here?" "It's tweaked," put in Andrea, "and he does have to study." "For God's sake, Andy, let him speak for himself." There was a long silence. Charlotte shot another glance at Nick, who was sitting slumped in his chair, his eyes on the pepper grinder. "Well?" Nick sighed, sounding every bit as bored as their father suspected. "What do you want me to say?" John Black shook his head. "It's what I want you to do, mate. Man up. Start taking the lead now and then. It's your future we're all here working our guts out for. It wouldn't kill you to show an interest." Abruptly, Andrea began clearing plates. Charlotte took a deep breath. She could feel Nick not looking at her. It was hard to believe sometimes when her father came out with things like that he wasn't trying to hurt her, except that he'd have to notice her first, and she couldn't accuse him of that. Nick was right. Their father was...